Naveen, we had a chat a few days back also again on the ecosystem, its opportunities, its challenges, and so forth. And we continue to remain in a world which is in the lockdown at this point of time. I was so just before starting this chat, I went outside to buy some vegetables from a nearby vendor, and I was asking him कि यार धंधा कैसा चल रहा है, कितना क्या हो रहा है, क्या नहीं हो रहा है. एंड ही सेड कि भैया धंधा तो वापस आ गया है फ्रॉम बेसिक उसका जो कामकाज था उसके पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से, बट देयर इज अ इंक्रीजिंग ट्रेंड कि जो कस्टमर है वो आकर के एक बार जरूर पूछता है कि यार वो डिजिटल से कुछ पेमेंट लेते हो क्या. Is it like something for you revisiting the idea and the dream with which you started? And if we can go back in history a bit, 12-13 साल पहले जब It's Cash started, so is this kind of a piece wherein demonetization, if was the moment from a payments industry point of view, as a consumer you were coming on board, is this COVID also a moment wherein merchant is coming on board and getting digital and so on and so forth? So your initial remarks on the state of industry, how you are seeing it evolving, and where do you as a consumer also look at it?
Yeah. So I think, Abhisant, we have chatted, so it's a challenge for me to keep it exciting for you as well. So you'll say, how many times I have to hear him, but anyway, jokes apart.
Yeah.
See, the reality is this is a time where any fintech and any digital or a tech-led or a tech-enabled company, this is probably the dream comes true from a perspective, not just from the player or a market player or industry players who are trying to automate, digitize, but it's the first time we are seeing the direct stakeholder, which is a customer, merchant, or any other participant who's in the chain, actually asking for those digital solutions. So you're absolutely right that this is something where a lot of money in the last decade or 1.5 decade in a different segments of fintechs has been spent by many players just to create the demand. It was like, if you go really back in the old world, if you were to describe PC to someone, and I'm sure we all know that case study, people would say, this guy's crazy, what the hell he's talking about. And we all know that case studies that people actually rejected it. It's very different industry player who believed in it and it happened. There are certain things till the time you really it's like a taste, right? If you haven't tasted something before, you can't really experience or explain it. Is that kind of a thing. So digital and experience over digital is exactly like that kind of a thing, that unless you have experienced it, unless you have done it once, and unless there is a reason for you to actually move it to, people don't want to change. It's a fundamental thing. So generally, if there's something that is working in their life, they would not want to make a shift or a change unless either you give them a monetary incentive or the environment changes. If the environment changes, then people want to try something which is better in that environment. So we are at a stage and a time and an age where the environment is telling every stakeholder, hey, stay away from physical contact. This is a necessity today. So find an alternative. So it's no longer that we have to explain that try digital, try something which is like a contactless, touchless, something which is completely virtual, like we are doing this session, right? I mean, another day, would rather be sitting in a room, right? Chatting, trying to have coffee, etc. But we rather have coffee from our home and then chat still. The reality is the content still gets delivered, the objective still gets achieved in some ways. The environment pushing that. So it's one of the best environment I've seen from a fintech perspective. That said, the overall industry impact, it's pretty mixed. I think if you not just look at India, but worldwide, while the overall enablement has happened, but if you talk to any experts, it's not going to be the same 100% economy when everything is normal. It's going to be, like recently I heard a song where it says that you add all the pieces, but your sum won't be the same. You will still not get the sum. So the challenge is that it's a time when even when things start getting normal, even if you think that you're reaching a new normal, you would not reach the same level of economy, at least for next couple of years. You will still have some 80 to 90% economy for a variety of reasons. And within that, actually, if you see, there will be segment where you will have impact as bad as 60-70%. There will be segment which would probably grow to 2 to 3x. And that's where actually it gets exciting, that what would really happen in the industry. So in a very macro level, across the segments or across the industry, the onboarding process, more and more people are wanting to be completely digital, completely seamless, completely paperless. When it comes to transaction, it's the same thing, that people are trying to create a frictionless experience with lesser failure rates. And I'm talking all kind of transaction, not just the payments. They actually want an experience where the transaction is done digitally. Similarly, the customer engagement, where we currently see a lot of challenges, even in a commerce, because ultimately a lot of financial services are bundled around a regular transaction. You buy a vehicle, you buy probably vehicle insurance as a add-on. You don't buy vehicle insurance, you don't buy a vehicle, right? It's a chain. If you do a commerce transaction, then you do a payment within that. It's a micro. In most cases, other than banking and few specific products, most of these services are bundled. So your experience there to deal with those specific core issues of those problems, whether buying, selling, solving your problem, something going wrong, that still needs to kind of come up to a level which again is an opportunity area, and that's where people are still trying to figure out that if something has happened, logistics, deliveries, failures, short deliveries, all kind of issues, some failures. So that's remain as still a bottleneck that across the industry that people are trying to figure out. So across these three spectrum is what I think industry is trying to figure out. Now, it's not just a challenge for now the stakeholders who are participating as a market player delivering it to the customers. So customer would include businesses, merchants, channel, and end customers. But it's also actually throwing challenges for the government and regulators. It's an interesting time where they are trying to figure out, it's a new kind of a risk suddenly that they need to worry about. For an example, in a BC world, which is a business correspondence world, in a banking agency model, people are trying to figure out that while we are trying to deliver the service which is allowed as essential service, how do you kind of take care? There should be extra norms for the physical safety and medical and health safety of not only those people who are delivering, but also the people who are coming to take, right? These are suddenly new set of norms within what you've been doing. You keep the social distancing in the queue. So suddenly new rules are coming. How do you really very quickly? So fundamentally, there is a huge opportunity for players who are adapting to digital, but at the same time, there are challenges in all three buckets, whether it is onboarding, whether it is transacting, and whether it is servicing and engaging with the customers. Now, if you combine these, it's actually a mixed bucket. Those who are able to navigate in a digital environment these things better, they will see huge jump. Plus, again, as I said, supported by government and policymakers parallel to make those changes. Wherever those things are not happening, or players or ecosystem players are not able to adapt, I think there will be problem. But I agree with you, like you said, it's a customer and the merchants and the ecosystem is ready to adapt. We have seen probably the environment which is even better than Demon in terms of a demand and adoption. This first time we are seeing even merchant in a smaller city, even the smallest tier 3 customers to try a digital, that we are okay to try it. It's a great timing from that perspective.
Thanks, Naveen. And there was a very interesting piece which you said that there will be certain segments which will be 50-60%. There will be certain segments which might be double, triple, or so and so forth. And there was an interesting trend which we also had a chat in the common group at some point of time, which was essentially around the fact that UPI transactions are now at the highest versus card transactions, which are still in the 50-60% kind of a range, and so on and so forth. So this also is inching towards or pointing a very interesting trend, which frankly those who are digital and payment institution or professionals always wanted to see, which is consumer adoption of payments in day-to-day life. So this possibly what COVID has done is given the consumer an option and possibility of interacting with things around payments on a day-to-day life basis, and that possibly is the reason why transactions are all-time high versus the fact that card transactions, which are largely concentrated on high street retail or travel or hospitality or others, are at a lower level, and so on and so forth, and all of that. So this essentially represents an interesting journey from a consumer adoption cycle point of view. I wanted to take a bit step back in terms of the adoption journey, which is around when you were looking at in ItzCash, when you were looking at the initial part of the consumer journey, and I'm sure 2007-8 must have been an uphill task to convince consumer to do anything different, anything new. How big you think is the impact of a pandemic like COVID in terms of change of consumer behavior versus the task which you were trying in 2007-8 or people otherwise try? So this is what I'm trying to say is the positive push of the pandemic. Yeah.
No, so I think it's very clear. I think the adoption to digital in a consumer's mind, early days, if you go back a decade back when we started at that time, would be probably at a -5 if you take an index. And you would have now at least on the peak, almost close to the positive 10. If you could say that it's almost 5 to 6x more clarity that you needed. Like I said, it goes back to what I said, that you needed to create a demand for all these digital services. That said, it's not just the digital payment which are growing. If you look at one industry which did not get impacted within the entire fintech space, is if you look at the trading, stock trading, if you look at all those companies who are involved in the trading, investment, wealth, I think they have been doing phenomenally well. Interestingly, though, markets did quite a bit of roller coaster, pretty much down, all-time low to again, almost inching gradually towards higher again. But the volumes and the transactions and the activity around it, and thanks to again the government allowing those activities to continue, even brokers were allowed to attend to their office if required, at least the critical staff. So if you see in that segment, it grew very well. That's one business segment which got hardly impacted. On the other hand, if you see some of the services which really got hugely impacted on everything on a lending side, right? The collections became a problem, the moratorium guidelines, which still have a lot of confusions. So anybody who was on a lending and where they were depending on capital, which actually almost 90% of the player from a bank or other sources, they are in a big chicken. It's like a catch-22, right? Now, what do you do? Because your collections are not coming, which was a cash flow for you to fund more or lend more. On the other hand, there are unclarity about the moratorium, how you have to extend, to what extent you extend, then would you get that extension? So you need extra cash flow. Cash flow for some of the lending companies became a challenge. At the same time, those who had the capital, those who have still, let's say, the muscle to lend, I think they must be seeing huge growth, because intrinsically there is a demand, because people are extra cautious. They don't want to leverage all their savings. They want to kind of use every bit of credit available in a lot of large segments. If you go back to MSME segment, this is even more, because literally the business has got impacted for the first one to the 70 to 80%, the retail, so which means every MSME. It is gradually inching back to about 40, 50%, 60%. Some stray cases which are purely focused on essentials, services, food, grocery, probably 70, 80% now. But the reality is that they still needed to pay their suppliers, they needed to pay their employees, they needed to still pay their EMIs to the banks and all those loans, everything. And if this cycle is going to take 6 months, somebody need to fund them. And this goes, if you extend it further, even to small factories, small workshops, they actually needed between 3 month to 6 month working capital extension. The reality is that most of them have ended up getting 5 to 10% to 20%. Other than some very large corporates who got lucky, who really could not just raise loans, but also the capital and equity. But we all know that they are very stray cases, 1 or 2 extreme cases. But most of the businesses, there has been, so this is a huge demand supply gap, and then this is the uncertainty. So there is a impact there. Payments, like you said, that there is if you take a segment in a diverse, the retail is directly a reflection of the retail spends and the consumer choices to go out and buy. Versus if you see even globally, yesterday only I was just looking at this MasterCard survey report. Mr. Banga was giving an interview to CNBC. He said, they shared the US data where the e-com spend online has actually grown to 2x. And out of kind of 10 customers, 6 customers want to adopt and continue to use digital, not just for buying, but even for payments. The contactless form of payments is suddenly taking all-time high. So there are again very favorable, it's very directly linked to pandemic, that because of this whole reason to kind of stay away from a traditional behavior to a non-touch to contactless kind of a behavior or a more digital behavior, it is automatically, not just in India, worldwide, driving that. So whoever is able to, I keep repeating it, that whoever is able to create that journey, that experience, and in some cases with government and a policy support, in some cases probably independently, they would win and they would continue to win. UPI is one again such clear example. So again, within B2B payment, between IMPS, between RTGS, of course RTGS is not comparable because of the values. So between IMPS, NEFT and UPI, I again believe that while others will gradually inch back to normal, but the major growth from the SIFT or other major SIFT will happen from those two instruments, considering the friction, considering in some cases they still need to touch and use the form, plus the time, plus the cycle and check, of course. So again, if you see, which people don't notice in last 3 years, the movement of check into IMPS, UPI, NEFT has been significantly large versus many other payments. So all this will continue. The COVID kind of insurance policy have grown amazingly well in this whole digital, the health awareness and health and medical related policies. Again, there is a high demand. There are of course challenges around how do you reach more customers in digital way, how do you kind of create some sort of a mechanism where the claims, if they come in, they can be processed in digital way. There are a lot of friction there. So as I said, the customer journeys is where focus is required, and they're actually some ways common across fintech, even if you go into specific segments. Somewhere the problems are common, maybe the minor details may vary, but fundamentally they are for similar reasons.
Sure. Again, you talked about connecting with the consumer, and so there's a question also which came from the audience side, which is, so while adoption journey, and when we are looking at the journey in totality at this point of time, while the adoption journey is showing increasingly encouraging trends across the country, is there anything specific which can be done, or you believe that should be done, and to ensure that the customer who essentially is in tier 3 or tier 4 segments, or tier 3 and tier 4 cities, start using more of the digital world, whether it is from the point of view of payments, lending, insurance, or anything. And interestingly, yesterday night I was looking at a few pieces around कि भाई TikTok का replacement क्या है, तो Ropozo, Chingari, Mitro और ये सारा जो आ रहा है प्लेटफॉर्म और जो सारी चीजें हो रही हैं. And if you remember, there was also a conversation in the group which was around कि financial literacy or financial awareness using such platforms, because these 15-second see as you go and kind of platforms are also changing the way digital content is getting consumed in the ecosystem. So do you believe that possibly Naveen Tiwari, another Naveen, so do you possibly believe that Naveen Tiwari also holds an interesting key that the information and awareness improves in the tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, tier 6 consumers who are consuming Ropozo or Chingari or Glance or others, and will be an interesting driver of digital adoption and thereby possibly payments and lending and others in the ecosystem?
So each of these players are doing amazing job to give a digital connectivity to all these customers and give an experience which wasn't there, right? It all started when somebody with probably Jio allowing smallest of the guy to see a movie on his phone, right? With that 4G connection. And even on a smallest of the screen in a simple way, and making sure that give you example, the guy who comes, the washerman who come in my house for ironing, etc. As to see him while he was doing it, his phone will be on and he's seeing some Bhojpuri song or whatever he likes, his content. So they understand it. So I always believe, Abhisan, that sometimes we do literacy more in academic and too literal sense. Reality, we have to also keep in mind, किसी को पढ़ाई अच्छी नहीं लगती, किसी को पढ़ना नहीं होता है. The moment you try to educate people in a formal way about anything, forget financial services, it's always a problem. It doesn't stick around. But if you go back in your own childhood and you realize a lot of things that you learned because you wanted something. I mean, give you again another example. I was a Hindi medium guy just like you, right? But I loved English, let's say Hollywood songs and all those rock songs. And actually I learned English through them more than actually doing through formal education. So if you like something, I'm connecting back that these are all platforms which are a great way to acquire customers, and they have customers. They're delivering the content. Each of this content eventually, other than entertainment, is also carrying advertisement of variety of things. It's about a simplification there and a navigation of these customers in a simpler way. To consume those financial products is what we need to create the journey. Our experience also, even from our early days, we were dealing with a consumer who would buy probably a railway ticket from a window earlier. But we realized that if there is an acute need, and if you give him a simpler way to do how it can be done in a simple steps, they would do it. We know there is a numeric literacy already. And that stays because he's going to do it. If you do it, you will remember it. If you just are told that this is a debit card, this is how it works, he will listen to it. You ask him even 1 hour later, probably he's forgotten because it's of no use to him. But if you tell him that, boss, तेरे को घर पे बैठे बैठे अभी फोन का रिचार्ज का प्रॉब्लम हो गया है, करना है, तो ये 2 चीजें ऐसे क्लिक करके कर सकते हो. And just show him in a simple way to his phone the navigation. He tries it. If it works, his experience is good, he will return it. And as he does more frequently, it automatically stays with him as a knowledge. So I think the entire industry we need to figure out is that in all these new environment of digital content to consumption to, how would the video shopping happen? How do we create for that audience experience, which is similar to exactly what they're doing. They're searching the content, they're seeing the content, they understand how to click, what to click. Now, how do we get them into a navigation habit where they can start consuming other products? That's the journey, and that's a experience that we need to create. And you rightly said, each of these guys can play a huge role. I mean, this is a huge opportunity. Ultimately, we all know that their revenue models will work either from a cross sells or advertisement.
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
So this is a complete journey of a integration. I have a famous word for it called financial services convergence and eventually converging economy. Probably that's what can happen with this environment.
And so this, while obviously there are pieces, there is an interesting question which has come, which says that do you believe there will be specific pockets in India wherein the adoption will be faster versus others wherein adoption will be lesser? And this also possibly goes back to your experience of building its cash, that there must have been certain regions wherein you would have said ki are boss ye to chal gaya, and there must have been certain regions wherein you would have invested a hell lot of time and effort only to realize ki ye nahi chalega. So are there specific areas, regions in India which are a bit more focused on and possibly have greater possibility of adoption versus others?
So while it's a generic question, but I'll try and answer it in a context. So I always, somebody told me that follow the rabbit of demand, and wherever you see a demand, that's you can never go wrong. So again, basis our own experiences, I saw that a lot of people used to come deliver various smaller products to our homes. Let's say braids to vegetables. They have a severe problem of accepting payment. I mean, they could find a way to take an order through Google Forms, or somebody would help them take an entire society's orders, pass on to them. They would get the packings done of all those items, deliver at the, let's say, society. But this whole settlement part with them, that everybody has paid, etc., remained a challenge. So to give you example, that if somebody was to look at this real hyper local, not the way we looked in past, but in today's environment, that how does a person who probably is just like you, your vegetable vendor whom you know, that if he was to deliver to your home and without even seeing you collect the money, can he send you a, let's say, invoice link or something on your phone, as a through SMS or simple feature phone, where you pay, he just get a simple message, and either his boy delivers or he delivers and his job is done. So we need to think about where such demand exists. Wherever there is a demand like this, and if somebody is able to create that solution, that will fly. And it doesn't have to be any specific region. Of course, some would be applicable to a lot more places, some would not be. I mean, if somebody could find a way to give an alternative way to, or let's say simpler way to go and take a health insurance in a very low cost today, I think now's the time. We just hope that the regulators facilitate it. I saw, again, in the current environment, cross-selling of at least COVID insurance being allowed, which never happened before. Because suddenly everybody realized that people would be conscious. There's high uncertainty about the expenses related to that entire treatment, so there would be high demand. So wherever there is a demand, if you create a product which can cater to and larger the number of customers, it will always work. But if you creating a demand is like playing a Russian roulette. That you're going by your intuition, which we did in past. If I have to go in past, we always thought that campuses and colleges can be fully automated and done less cash or cashless.
Yeah.
And we did a lot of time, effort, even in places like let's say IIT. The answer finally came in is that actually, even if you give them a complete contactless digital, most, let's say, advanced solution, either it is driven either because of incentive that you give them, or fundamental actually is more than anything else the credit, because these guys simply live off credit. They're simply not used to plan their purchases. It's a very random purchase. They're used to going, eating, somebody recording it. Probably it needs to be done through a credit tool than actually a prepaid or any other payment product. So sometimes you get these fundamentals wrong, and then whatever you try, whatever money you invest, you can keep incentivizing, but you'll not get the optimal output. So it has to be a right demand. It has to be a right experience with a clear value proposition, not in a theoretical term. It has to be either I'm saving my time, either I'm actually saving the cost, or it's solving a problem which otherwise actually there's no other solution to. There has to be one of these things in anything that you do for any of the financial services product, or actually for that matter, any product.
Yep. Interesting, Naveen. And who had asked this question, if I can add a few thoughts from my end. One specifically is the piece which Naveen rightly pointed out. It's not, frankly, as much of a geography and so on and so forth. I think further, if you want to possibly explore on this segment, you may want to see those geographies or those areas wherein the entrepreneurship is a bit on a higher side. The areas, the pockets wherein that is on a bit on a higher side, the possibility of adoption of new is on a higher side. That essentially, so if you look at the adoption of, there was an interesting statistics which somebody had shared from Google with me, and they were like the adoption is higher in Gujarat. And one reason was obviously a bit, somebody who is a bit entrepreneurial will essentially try to look at something new if it is provided to them to do that. So therefore, that was one piece. But that said, that's aside. There's an interesting question which is there, that what should a young fintech startup do to survive the pandemic? Now, this question has been there. So, Abibi, just before coming for this session, we were having a chat.
Can't hear you, Abhisan. Can't hear you.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay. So this question, so one of the startup, somebody who had joined us in a previous conversation, and they also asked this question, that what should we do? So frankly, if you are a young fintech, obviously maybe we'll go back to Naveen's avatar of 2007, asking Naveen, how did you survive 2008? So maybe that somewhere will have an answer for you. So
yeah,
Naveen,
actually, real date is 2000. I survived first the .com and then this. So anyway, if you're a young fintech, depending on what stage of business you are in, sometimes you're lucky because you're getting more time. See, now is not a time where there is a cutthroat competition that you're getting delayed, that if you don't roll out something, you're kind of left behind by someone. So this is the best time actually to build the product for which incumbents will have a problem. There are new challenges, new issues. So actually, this is the best time if you're at a stage where you're building. The only problem is that you need to have your financial resources to see through this period before you go to launch. So you have to make sure that you have adequate resources to build in a today's context, which actually you will be your competing edge, because a lot of other people may not have those solutions which you will build afresh today. If you've already built it, you need to customize it as quickly as possible to work in today's environment, because as a young startup, you always are agile, right? What a mid-sized company or a large company will take 3 to 6 months, you guys can always do it in 30 days flat. And that should be your mantra. And that should be the benchmark, that how can you do in a timing perspective anything what others take less than 10% or a 20% over time. And that's always your edge when you're young and startup, right? But as I said, that you have to survive, so never forget that you first have to make sure that whatever money you have within that you have to achieve. And then if you are able to create a product, one thing that I've also realized, which also goes back to your other point, that there are a lot of entrepreneurs who adapt to a lot of these products. Many times I have seen that the product that you designed for B2C, end consumer, the first adoption, whether you know or not, is actually by the either self-employed or MSME or actually entrepreneurs. They make use of those products in their business inefficiencies, which you and I don't know. For an example, if I give you an example from my previous life, we launched a open loop card which had an ATM withdrawal facility. And we were actually launching it more for an alternative against debit card, those who didn't have a bank account to pay everywhere. But what we realized is that people were taking 2 cards, one for themselves, one for their dependents. And they were actually loading money in their dependent's card and allowing them to withdraw money from the villages. And these were the people who were like self-employed, they had money. They found this is an alternate way, even when there's no bank, to send money home in a fastest, simplest, real-time basis with the confirmation both sides and still having a track. So we've always seen, like you rightly said, that there are use cases which are always highly adaptive. If they understand that, what are you doing? So never ignore a segment which is like a hidden segment, what we call shadow banking at times, which is a bad word, but there's always big. So you have one product which looks in the front, but there's always a lot more available in the ecosystem of the channel, of the people. If you are able to do, and if I even go back So again, my previous example that when we launched even something with STV, we never launched an end consumer product first. We launched a product for the channel first that can they adapt to a prepaid way, like in a mobile prepaid it happened, that if they understand this prepaid concept well and they are willing to do it with the company, they will be able to manage the customers better. So actually again, it goes back to your even literacy. Your issue of literacy goes away because when the person who's dealing in that product and going to sell is also a user of your product, it's actually sold. He actually knows how to explain that product to the customer best versus a theoretical. So a lot of these kind of things you need to utilize in time like this. So message for young entrepreneurs is very simple. Use this time to build for today. Be cautious of the segments that you're serving. There are segments which you may not be aware, so spend more time on that, which could be also interested in that. Survive this phase, and if you survive and grown in this phase, actually you're going to be the most valuable company. For some reason, you have done some bit of it and you're struggling and you don't have a funding, don't be emotional, find a partner, either a business partner, either a strategic one or anyone. Somehow don't be hesitant in doing a deal which actually survives your business and you. I mean, don't get egoistic. The valuations and deals are probably difficult sometime, but it's important first to survive. It's like that, if I can't live, what will I eat? So I should not worry about the food first I should worry about living, right? So depending on what kind of a company you are, what kind of a startup you are, look at your topmost problem and opportunity, go with that, forget everything else for at least next 12 months. Of course, if you have those basic hygiene issues taken care of, then you actually can think probably for next 3 years environment. Otherwise, just focus on next 12 months.
So whosoever this young fintech startup is, just go to our LinkedIn page and you'll find connected. So connect with us and we'll see what we can do for you. That is first. Second is specifically, if I can share a few thoughts on this. If you are young fintech startup, first and foremost, if you are in B2B space, then yesterday we had a startup which was a young fintech early stage startup, and he said that he is in B2B space and he intends to invest in LinkedIn marketing and other places to essentially help him grow. And I asked him that which organization you are coming from. So he said, I am coming from Deloitte. He moved out of Deloitte and was starting with. And I said, your product, he had an interesting product. And I asked him that what is the timeline in which you left Deloitte? He was there for some 7-8 years. And therefore I asked him that means you will have great. He said, yes, I do have. It's a product which is a B2B2C product. And I asked him, boss, to agar aisa hai, to why you haven't gone to Deloitte back, asking them that why not they showcase your product in their employee benefits program and make it available to 30,000 odd Deloitte employees and make yourself available suddenly to a large base, rather than you trying to invest money on LinkedIn and social media and trying to get customers out of that. So frankly, the one who is young and who is a young startup should ideally identify his previous association, his market connects, and so on and so forth, at least in B2B side, and not to invest any single penny as much as possible in trying to do these hacks at this point of time. This is just one thought. There will be another. So there is another question which is from the audience side. It is around, there are a lot of fintech firms, foreign fintech firms, who are eyeing India market. They are looking at entering into India. Do you think that they stand stiff competition from Indian fintech players?
Well, I am a person who's always market driven, and I am a strong proponent of competition. As long as there's a level playing field, as long as there is no special treatment to either side, and if it is a level playing field, especially from a fintech context. Let's not forget that the market in India is such a big and it's a highly underpenetrated. If you leave the banking aside, which is let's say 50% plus adult population, very well penetrated, but everything else, you start from digital payment in a retail, it's about 15% penetrated. If you take insurance, I think across general life, the average will come around 2.5 to 3%. You talk about investments, you will talk again about 2.5, 3%, even best of the times 3.5%. You talk lending, especially on the retail side, I think we are 10% of our GDP. If you compare China, I think they're 50% of their GDP. And their GDP is already like 5 times higher than us. And if you compare any of these data and then you look at the market side, I think for anyone to believe that I should alone own it or I should get a special treatment because I'm this category, I'm this color, this breed, I personally believe that, boss, let the best person win. There should be a fair competition. The rules should be known to all. Let them all play. It should be like a sports here. You should just be knowing the rule. All of you play with the same. As long as there's no scope for cheating and there's a fair umpire or coach, we shouldn't worry about it. So that's my personal belief. Uh, Competition, I don't think, is the right word in a in a in a space like fintech. Unless you are like me to another copy of something, and then you're trying to think that okay, I will also do the same thing. Then that's a mistake. Ideally, times like this actually is throwing opportunity for all of you to think of so many new things which are completely missing. There's so many friction points suddenly that has emerged that if you just pick up one of those friction points and do a proper analysis, that would be large enough for you to start and become a probably a very attractive company over the next 12 months. And after that, you could always decide that how do you want to diversify, grow. But next 12 months, there are so many problems that are being thrown up in every fintech area that if each one of you even pick up one or two of them, you could be actually a very large company, provided you remain true. And like Abhisan said, that what he is giving example is actually the called network effect. It's not a theoretical jargon. It is what it is. How do you within your network identify and create and expand using your idea and grow that market in the least cost? That is what will work. Instead of burning money in acquiring customers, well, these are different times. Too much of advertisement is not going to work. You just need to give a right solution and it works. I mean, we've seen the same Robster story, right? The moment TikTok happened, there was a demand, there was a vacuum, and suddenly they became number one in Google Play Store. So it's a very simple example that if there is a vacuum and somebody enters with the right offering, they will see huge traction, provided they deliver the experience and the right product. I think Abhisant is having some difficulty in connection.
Yes, I think internet issues.
Okay. Can you take some?
He's back.
Okay.
He's back.
Should we take more audience question now? Because I think
we are taking audience questions only. So Naveen, to expand on this piece wherein you talked about Singapore, the foreign fintech firms, and we are also conducting Global Fintech Festival, and considering that is kind of an avenue for the startups or financial services firms from globally if they want to look at India. Can you elaborate a bit about the Global Fintech Festival for the audience?
Thanks, Abhisant. So again, one thing that person like you, me, and even to some extent platforms like what Aarti represent is trying to create an energized ecosystem of fintechs in India and probably in many other industries like this. Our effort has always been that if you look at in terms of ratings of India in a lot of scores, in terms of number of startups, the FDIs coming in, the innovation in multiple segments like payments to, I think even InsurTech and now lending tech, we rank pretty high. But when we look at in terms of our thought leadership, it's still kind of a bit compromised. If you look at the best events in fintech, be it in payments, be it in a conference side, be it in a overall fintech, they're like happening in Singapore, Europe, or US. On the other side, if you see that the majority participation is always from India in each of these events, between 20% to 40%. And we realize that now's the time, considering the intellectual bandwidth of and actually the skills of the Indian entrepreneurs and the innovation that we've sown in a number of variety of things across digital, it's time to not just put India as a destination for a large market, but also as a thought leadership. So the association that I represent, Fintech Convergence Council, in fact, Abhisant is a big supporter, his whole organization, the way he's building the ecosystem. We're all trying to put now India on a map of thought leadership in fintech and across the tech. So our first attempt was to try and do a SFF equivalent in India as the India Fintech Festival, which somehow we had to postpone for the same reason of COVID since it was a physical event. But what we realized also is that while that's going to take time and we'll do as and when things kind of happen as a bridge between India and the whole world to showcase what India is. What we also realize in today's context, what we're discussing today, what is the impact? We're still talking from our limited known circle within India with what we're seeing Indian regulators and government doing and the entrepreneur ecosystem doing. The reality is that today's learnings are taken across and probably shared across the globe. Can we create a platform where across the globe we invite fintechs and all the stakeholders, so be it the regulatory side, be it the government side, be it the fintech player, be it the startup in the fintech or investor, all of them coming from across the globe and sharing their learnings around three things as to what has been their coping strategy so far. how they have dealt with it in their existing businesses, or as a government, or as a regulator, or as an investor, or as a startup. What has worked for them and what has not worked for them. And finally, what is their outlook for what they've seen. And I thought, what could be better to create it all on a one platform across the globe? And if you see the timing of this, which is being held on 21st and 22nd, 22nd and 23rd July, it's between 2 to 9 p.m. So we're trying to cover right from East, Japan, China, to all the way up to the kind of US, the entire like the West Coast, not just the East Coast. We're trying to cover entire geography where all the stakeholders are going to talk about this. And I think digital is all about collaborating and learning, and this will give actually everybody an opportunity to share their views and showcase, understand from each other. And interesting, Abhisant, which you're now aware because you're integral part of GFF yourself. We've made the whole registration by invite and in a way free. There's no cost, so that more and more people benefit. So Aarti, again, if you need any details, feel free to take it from us. Distribute it to all the participants, all the ecosystem within that. We're inviting everybody to participate, contribute, learn, and then collaborate and share. But that's the best way to. That's actually mantra of digital. It reduces distance. It reduces it increases the speed. It kind of brings people together, at least in a digital format, wherever you are.
Thanks, Naveen. And yes, to the audience, those who are looking to understand and appreciate the world in a nutshell, 22-23 तारीख is what you should look at. Naveen, next question is around वो एक पुरानी अपनी एक पुरानी कहावत जाती है, कुछ उस पे है ये सवाल. तो मैं पहले वो कहावत लोगों को बताता हूँ, फिर इस सवाल पे आते हैं कि वो पुरानी कुछ कहावत ऐसी जाती है कि बर्बादे गुलिस्तां करने को बस एक ही उल्लू काफी था, यहाँ हर शाख पे उल्लू बैठा है, अंजामे गुलिस्तां क्या होगा. तो ये जो लाइन मैंने कही, ये शायद इसमें वो जो लोग जो वो उल्लू बैठा हुआ है, जो जीरो MDR का गाना गाता रहता है, वो इसको जो ये इकोसिस्टम अंदर उसको बर्बाद करने में लगा हुआ है. तो आपका क्या विचार है ऐसे उल्लुओं को लेकर के और जीरो MDR के थॉट को लेकर?
सर, इसका आंसर एक ही आता है कि आपने एक और सबने कहानी सुनी होगी कि एक वो बेवकूफ लकड़ आ रहा था जो डाली पे बैठ के उल्टी साइड से डाली काट. So मैं सबको समझाता हूँ, this is a merchant lobby who's trying to do it. They think this is a good benefit and somehow it seems that the government has been explained कि ये करेंगे तो डिजिटल बहुत बढ़ेगा. जबकि रियलिटी ये है कि इस वक्त अगर अपना पेनिट्रेशन ऑफ द एंटायर इकोसिस्टम इंक्लूडिंग पेमेंट सिस्टम इतना कम है, अगर आप उसमें से जो रेवेन्यू और जो लेट्स से जो व्हाटएवर रिसोर्सेज दैट कैन बी जनरेटेड टू रीइन्वेस्ट एंड ग्रो, अगर वही निकाल दोगे तो वो बढ़ेगा कैसे? अभी जैसे आपने यूपीआई को जीरो कर दिया, ठीक है, अभी यूफोरिया में अभी डिमांड हाई है, चल रहा है, बट एज इट ग्रोज, अगर उसमें कोई भी चेन में किसी के पास कुछ भी पैसा नहीं इवन टू मेंटेन इट, वी ऑलरेडी नो दैट देयर आर इश्यूज अराउंड वेरियस रिस्क and each of those are real issues. A lot of money is required to manage, operate, real-time monitoring. देखिए, while we are all talking a lot of opportunity for the digital, but just to balance, we also know there are commensurating investments, there are commensurating risks that it comes with it in every environment, which means आपको उसमें भी resources लगाने पड़ते हैं. अगर आपने वो डाली काट दी जिस पे आप बैठे हो, तो वो इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं होगा, तो आप गिरोगे ना कभी, और अगर वो गिरोगे तो सबके जिस पे गिरोगे वो भी उसको भी लगेगी और आप सबको लेके गिरोगे. तो हम तो ये भी बोलते हैं मर्चेंट्स को कि अगर आपको फेलियर बढ़ गए तो आप वापस कैश में जाओगे तो आपको ही नुकसान है. बिकॉज अगेन एज अ बिजनेस, कमिंग फ्रॉम अ बिजनेस फैमिली, जब भी आप कैश यूज करते हो, you never know that how much my employees or somebody has cheated me. It could vary from 1% to 20%, depending on आपकी कितनी efficiency, expertise है. उसके सामने MDR का कहानी 1% के अंदर का था. What were you really losing? आपके पास सारा ट्रैक था. प्लस हमने बोला अगर गवर्नमेंट को इतनी चिंता है तो why can't they simply give a GST subsidy of that 0.5% to 1%? That's the easiest way to do it, and that too on an incremental basis. तो ये एक probably confusion है. ये क्या होता है कि every businessman को लगता है हम पैसा अपना बचा लें, बट वो भूल जाते हैं कि हम जिस तरह की चीजें पूछ रहे हैं, जैसे हमारा बिजनेस प्लेटफॉर्म, कल को मुझे कोई आके बोले कि आपकी प्राइसिंग जो है, आप ये बिजनेस कर रहे हो, इसमें इससे ज्यादा नहीं हो सकती, तो आप बिजनेस करना चाहेंगे क्या? या आपको बोलते हैं जीरो पे कीजिए. कौन सा बिजनेस है जो आदमी पेमेंट ले रहा है और उनको बोला जाए कि आप जीरो मार्जिन पे काम करो, वो करेंगे क्या? इट्स फंडामेंटली रॉन्ग. तो मैं हमेशा सबको बोलता हूँ बिजनेस में कि कुछ प्रिंसिपल जो होते हैं बिजनेस का एक बेसिक प्रिंसिपल होता है इकोनॉमी की, वो रिवॉर्ड होना चाहिए. अगर रिवॉर्ड नहीं है तो वो कैसे चलेगा, क्यों चलेगा? अच्छा, एग्जाम्पल आते हैं कि काफी सारी कंपनियां खुद फ्री में बांटती, बट मैं उनको भी समझाता हूँ कि आप फ्री में बांटते हैं, दैट इज आपकी चॉइस है, आपका मॉडल है। बट जस्ट बिकॉज आप सोचते हो कि आज की तारीख में मुझे फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, मेरे पास तो पैसा है, मैं फ्री में बांट रहा हूँ, बट यू फॉरगेटिंग कि एट सम स्टेज, चाहे वो 4 साल हो, 5 साल हो, 10 साल हो, आपको इस रेवेन्यू की जरूरत पड़ेगी। अगर आपने उसको जीरो करवा दिया बाय लॉ, तो उस वक्त आपके हाथ से वो चला गया। तो मैं हमेशा इंडस्ट्री को बोलता हूँ कि चॉइस कभी भी आपके हाथ में एज अ बिजनेस रहनी चाहिए। अगर आपको फ्री भी देना है, दैट शुड बी विद योर चॉइस, इट शुड नॉट बी बाय रेगुलेशन और गवर्नमेंट कि उन्होंने बोल दिया इसके लिए जीरो है तो आप नहीं कर सकते। फिर तो वो जैसे बोला कि जिस डाली पे आप बैठे हो उसको आप काट रहे हो, उससे सबको दिक्कत आएगी, आज नहीं तो कल। आई जस्ट होप कि सारे लोग समझें। समटाइम्स अगर काफी सारी फिनटेक अपनी एक्साइटमेंट में, समटाइम्स फंडिंग में, वो बोलती नहीं नहीं ये तो अच्छा है, इससे बढ़ेगा। आई थिंक थोड़ा स्टेप बैक कीजिए, सोचिए। देयर आर मल्टीपल एग्जांपल, आई कांट नेम कंपनीज, देयर आर कंपनीज हु वेंट, हु आर वेरी लार्ज, वेरी वैल्यूड कंपनी, फ्रंट पेज ऑफ ET saying that हाँ this KYC regime is good. Trust me, 2 years later they had come begging saying please talk to government and regulators, it is hurting us big time. आपको कभी कभी वो जो छोटे टाइम में एक लगती है कि ये अपॉर्चुनिटी है हमारे लिए, हमारे पास तो रिसोर्सेज है, हम कर देंगे, बट अगर फंडामेंटली गलत है पूरी इंडस्ट्री के लिए, वो कभी भी आपके लिए अच्छी नहीं हो सकती। इट विल कम बैक एंड हॉन्ट यू, हर्ट यू वेरी बैडली, एंड देन बाय द टाइम यू वुड हैव लॉस्ट, बिकॉज तब तक आपने तो वो गवर्नमेंट के हाथ में टूल दे दिया टू कीप स्क्रूइंग यू।
ये वही वाली बात है कि हम तो डूबेंगे सनम, तुम्हें भी डूबेंगे, और अब पत्थर डाल करके डूबेंगे, तो ये सबको डुबाने के उसमें बिल्कुल लगे हुए हैं।
वो डिनाइल में उनको लगता है कि हम तो तैरे हुए हैं, हम तो कभी डूब नहीं सकते, और वही सबसे भारी है जो सबको लेके डूबते हैं।
हाँ, वो वही सारी समस्या होती है। तो ये जो लोग यहाँ पर सुन भी रहे हैं, प्लीज ये इंश्योर करिए कि भाई जैसे किसी ने मतलब यदि आपने सन 1970 के दशक की जो है वो दीवार देखी है, तो अमिताभ बच्चन बोलता है कि मेरे पास में गाड़ी है, बंगला है, और तुम्हारे पास क्या है? तो जो सामने वाला है शशि कपूर, वो हाथ उठा करके दिखा देता है कि भाई मेरे पास में माँ है। तो ऑब्वियसली हमारे वहां पर भी देश में कुछ लोग हैं जिनके पास में माँ है, तो जिनके पास में माँ है वो भी एक पॉइंट के बाद में इस पॉइंट पर आए कि नहीं भाई, माँ के अलावा जो है आपको इकोनॉमिक्स का भी ध्यान में रखना पड़ता है। तो जैक माँ कहाँ तक करेंगे, दूसरी धरती माँ भी जरूरी है, एंड ecosystem is important. So there are other questions from startups, which is the quality and option of payment solutions available, like you mentioned, or pure consumer behavior shift that is responsible for low adoption? So reason क्या है? मतलब adoption जो है वो इतने साल से हम लोग try कर रहे हैं, but अभी भी अलग अलग लोग अलग अलग बोलते हैं, कुछ 11% बोलते हैं, कुछ 15% बोलते हैं, and so and so forth. So lower adoption के reasons क्या हैं? Is it quality of payment solutions or consumer behavior shift is a bigger challenge?
देखिए, there are 3 pillars. I remember जब हमने PCI फॉर्म किया था somewhere again around 2007-8, now almost over 10-12 years. The 3 pillars we identified which has to get fixed fundamentally. सबसे पहला था parity of कैश वर्सेस डिजिटल। नाउ व्हाट डू आई मीन बाय इट? देखिए, जब तक आप अपना फिजिकल पैसे से 2 लाख रुपए का गोल्ड खरीदोगे, कोई सवाल नहीं पूछा जाएगा। जब तक आप 50,000 रुपए टेबल पे रखोगे, कोई सवाल नहीं पूछा जाएगा। लेकिन अगर आपको वॉलेट से 1 रुपया भी खर्चा करना है, आपको हजारों चीजें, हजारों स्टॉप करनी है, तो ये एक एग्जाम्पल है उसका। उसकी एक्सेप्टेंस कैश की ऑलरेडी यूनिवर्सल है। आपके अभी भी PPI में इंटरऑपरेबिलिटी इंप्लीमेंट होनी बाकी है। 10 साल के एफर्ट से एटलीस्ट अलाउ की गई, बहुत सारा टाइम लगा। सो आप फंडामेंटली जो एक फाइट कर रहे हो वो फिजिकल कैश की कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स से कर रहे हो, जिसको एक लीगल टेंडर और गवर्नमेंट की बैकिंग है। या तो आप एक उसको जैसे CD अपने जैसे सेंट्रल बैंक इश्यू डिजिटल करेंसी का कॉन्सेप्ट आ रहा है, या तो आप उसको चालू करके वो सबको दे दो फिनटेक्स को कि भाई आप उसमें ऑपरेट करो, उसमें सारे कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स है और वो डिजिटल में भी चलती है, वो पावरफुल है सबसे। देन दैट कैन बी ओनली प्रोडक्ट विच कैन बी पावरफुल देन कैश। तो एक तो वो सिनेरियो है, वो तो अभी है नहीं, और अभी भी मुझे लग नहीं रहा 3-4 साल तक उसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन होते हुए, अभी भी पेपर पे। तो एक तो वो प्रॉब्लम है कि पैरिटी ऑफ कैश इन मैनी थिंग्स, इवन चाहे डेबिट कार्ड हो, क्रेडिट कार्ड हो, वॉलेट हो, मल्टीपल चीजों पे अभी भी आपको फ्रिक्शन आता है। चाहे एक्सेप्टेंस हो, कहीं पे स्टोर ऑफ वैल्यू हो, कहीं पे उसका कस्टमर जर्नी हो, बहुत सारे चैलेंजेस है, उसको ठीक करना है। दूसरा एक था कि पूरा जो इकोसिस्टम है इसका, इसमें फंडामेंटली यू हैव टू सी कैश जो इंडिया में है वो एक जगह कोई टाइम में पोलियो हुआ करता था जो बहुत रैम्पेंट था, तो ये तो उससे भी खतरनाक है। वो जन्म से लगा के आप मतलब जब भी चालू करते हो सब जगह वो पैसे मिलते हैं आपको, एनवेलप में कहीं आपको देके जाते हैं, आपको पता भी नहीं आपको होस्ट नहीं है, उसके पहले आपको रिश्तेदार थमाना चालू करते हैं। तो वो एक जो इनग्रेन्ड है हैबिट, उसको इरेडिकेट करने के लिए आपको पूरी गवर्नमेंट लेवल से, जब तक पूरा इकोसिस्टम तो कर ही रहा है, बट वो एक सिस्टमेटिक वे में एक 10 साल का प्रोग्राम चलना पड़ेगा कंटिन्यूसली कि बस कैश इज अ डिजीज, डोंट यूज इट। थैंकफुली अभी वाले टाइम में जेन्युइनली पीपल आर फेयरिंग कि हाँ अरे ये तो डिजीज हो सकता है, तो प्रॉब्ली वी कैन एक्चुअली यूज दैट एज अ प्लेटफॉर्म, बट इट इज अ सिस्टमेटिक वर्क दैट नीड्स टू बी डन एंड समवेयर गवर्नमेंट हैज टू अंडरस्टैंड कि बिगेस्ट बेनिफिट जो है डिजिटल से उनको है, वो मानते हैं, लेकिन जब इम्प्लीमेंटेशन का टाइम आता है तो या तो वो जीरो एमडीआर कर देते हैं या जो भी कॉस्ट होती है बोलते हैं इकोसिस्टम बेयर करेगा, तुम्हारी तो वैल्यू बढ़ रही है, तुम हो रही है। रियलिटी ये है कि आज के तारीख में कैश प्रिंटिंग अलोन एंड स्टोरेज इज मोर देन 1% ऑफ द जीडीपी। अगर आप टैक्स के इश्यूज ऐड करो तो वो 30-40% तक कॉस्ट जाती है गवर्नमेंट। समवेयर उनको एक ये मान के चलना पड़ेगा कि इसके लिए प्रोग्राम को अगर मुझे 10-12 साल तक इसको प्रमोट करना है, उसको ये सब कॉस्ट को देख के कंटिन्यूसली इकोसिस्टम के साथ मिलके एक सिस्टमेटिक इन्वेस्ट करके इसको इरेडिकेट, जैसे हमने डिजीज किया था वैसे करना पड़ेगा। एंड आई एम सेइंग इवन आफ्टर दैट, आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि विल बी फुली कैश, आई मीन लेस कैशलेस, वी विल बी लेस कैश। अगर हम 12% से 50-60% तक पहुंच पाए तो भी अच्छा साइन है, बिकॉज सम कैश इज आल्सो रिक्वायर्ड इन द सिस्टम फॉर वैरायटी ऑफ रीजंस। तो वो एक सेकंड पार्ट है जिसमें गवर्नमेंट और रेगुलेटर को थोड़ा और फ्रंट एंड, मतलब काफी सारे अनाउंसमेंट्स है बट उनको और ज्यादा स्ट्रांगली करना पड़ेगा। ऑब्वियसली इकोसिस्टम को तो करना ही पड़ेगा। लास्टली जो सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है हमारे साइड पे, एवरीबडी लाइक्स टू डू अ ग्लैमरस, क्या होता है कि आप और हम हमारे जैसे लोगों को जानते हैं, तो हम जो भी प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च करते हैं, अगर वो प्रोडक्ट हमारे जैसे लोगों में पॉपुलर नहीं है तो हमको लगता है यार हम क्यों कर रहे हैं, वी आर नॉट बिग इनफ, मतलब इट्स एक्साइटिंग नॉट। बट प्रॉब्लम ये है कि इंडिया में जो टॉप 10% पॉपुलेशन है उनके पास ओवर सप्लाई है, उसके पास डेबिट कार्ड है, क्रेडिट कार्ड ऑफकोर्स 2% के पास है, बट लेट्स से डेबिट कार्ड है, यूपीआई है, आईएमपीएस है, एनईएफटी है, सारे वॉलेट है, सब कुछ है। और अनफॉर्चुनेटली जो पूरी डिजिटल जर्नी का अंडरस्टैंडिंग है वो अभी भी वो 15% तक की पॉपुलेशन के पास है जिनके पास ये सब है। और उनको, क्योंकि वो थोड़ा होमोजीनियस ऑडियंस है, उनको एटलीस्ट हिंदी इंग्लिश समझती है, टेक पूरा रेडी है, तो सबको लगता है एक रेडी कस्टमर। तो दैट्स ए इजियर मार्केट टू गो, बट मोस्ट डिफिकल्ट एंड ओवर सप्लाई है यहाँ पे। डिमांड लेटेंट है, सबको आता है, बट अगेन ओवर सप्लाई है। सो आपका जो पेनिट्रेशन है वो हो नहीं रहा है। जो रियल बिगर मार्केट है वो नेक्स्ट 100 मिलियन कस्टमर टू 150 मिलियन कस्टमर है, जो आज के दिन में 10 से 50 हजार रुपया महीने का कमाता है। अब उसमें क्या है कि प्रॉब्लम है वो एक सेगमेंट नहीं है। अब उसमें आपका स्टूडेंट भी आता है जो प्रॉब्ली पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट वाला है, उसमें आपका वो जो एक डेली लेबरर है, उसका जो हाई स्किल्ड लेबरर टाइप है जो फर्नीचर का काम करता है, कॉन्ट्रैक्टर टाइप का काम करता है, वो भी आता है। एक मिड साइज दुकानदार जो खुद की दुकान चला रहा है या खुद का बिजनेस कर रहा है अकेले से, वो भी आता है। तो उसमें आपको कोई एक सेगमेंट नहीं मिलेगा। उसमें आपको जो स्टार्टअप सैलरी वाले लोग हैं, जो फर्स्ट ब्लू कॉलर्ड वर्कर इन ऑर्गेनाइज सेगमेंट है, वो भी मिलेंगे। उसमें प्रॉब्लम ये हो जाती है कि जो अगला सेगमेंट है, इनफैक्ट आई कैन गो इवन अप टू 30% ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन, ओवर 300 मिलियन, बहुत बड़ा है, टिकट साइजेस छोटी है, लेकिन वो एक होमोजेनियस मार्केट नहीं। तो उसमें जब आप एक प्रोडक्ट लेके जाते हो तो आपको समझ में नहीं आता है कि कैसे चले। और वो जो ऑफरिंग है मैचिंग की, और ये बेसिकली नॉट जस्ट फॉर पेमेंट, ये इंश्योरेंस में भी वही प्रॉब्लम है, इन्वेस्टमेंट में भी वही प्रॉब्लम है, और लेंडिंग में भी वही प्रॉब्लम है। लेंडिंग में काफी इनोवेशन हुआ है ऑफ लेट, P2P आया है, लॉट ऑफ पे मी लेटर आया है, बट फिर भी ये जो इश्यूज हैं कि जो ऑडियंस अभी भी इवॉल्व हो रही है, थोड़े से लेट अडप्टर्स हैं, बट अभी का टाइम है जिसमें अडप्ट करेंगे, उनके लिए प्रोडक्ट क्या बना जाए, उनके लिए यूज केस बहुत डिफरेंट है। जैसे आप और मेरे लिए उबर काम का है, बट उनके लिए प्रॉब्ली शायद जो है काली पीली या बस काम की है। तो अगेन जो प्रोडक्ट सेगमेंटेशन, आइडेंटिफाइंग ऑफ यूज केस, वो सारे बहुत डिफरेंट है। तो जब तक हम वो चीज नहीं करेंगे, जब तक अडॉप्शन नहीं बढ़ेगा, जब तक पेनिट्रेशन नहीं बढ़ेगा, तो वो इंडस्ट्री के ऊपर है। इंडस्ट्री को सोचना पड़ेगा कि वो थोड़े से नॉन ग्लैमरस सेगमेंट है, बट वो ज्यादा अट्रैक्टिव है। सिमिलरली ये वाले सेगमेंट काफी सारे, कई बार वो B2B2C वाले कैटेगरी में आ जाते हैं जो आप बोलते हैं, तो उसमें इन्वेस्टर्स का भी सपोर्ट चाहिए कि वो ये बिजनेस ज्यादा स्टेबल है, ज्यादा सस्टेनेबल है, कैन पोटेंशियली बी प्रॉफिटेबल बट लेस ग्लैमरस, तो उनको वैल्यूएशन भी कम मिलता है और एफर्ट ज्यादा होता है, बिकॉज दीज आर स्लाइटली यू कुड से कि मतलब थोड़ा बेसिक हाइब्रिड स्ट्रेटेजी होती है, फिजिकल एंड डिजिटल। तो फिजिकल वाले कैटेगरी में आते हैं तो एफर्ट्स भी ज्यादा होती है, तो इसको वो मानते हैं कि भाई ये थोड़ा सा स्लाइटली लीनियर टाइप का मॉडल है, नॉन लीनियर नहीं, तो उनको अट्रैक्शन कम होता है। तो बाय नेचर एवरी फिनटेक वांट्स टू बी अनदर द टॉप 10%। तो ये कारण से हम लोग जो अभी सिचुएशन में है, दैट इज वेयर वी आर स्टार्ट। इफ दिस चेंजेस, probably we will have a very healthy ecosystem and the real major benefit to the entire ecosystem. But this is an opportunity for all the fintech, I would say, that identify more use cases in that segment. It's very deep, it's very big. आपको हो सकता है कि थोड़ा इनिशियली लगेगा कि यार हम क्या करते हैं. अभी जैसे other day we heard even companies like in agri fintech are getting funding. So ऐसा नहीं है कि people are not getting funding, but obviously valuations may be different. But advantage will be that you can pioneer, you can be more valuable, you can have less competition, you will be having more satisfying journey and more innovation.
One last question which came from the audience side is around so आपने बहुत interesting चीज कही कि government push is required somewhere to actually reach the stage of 40-50% adoption, and of course 50% plus can be essentially is still part of cash and so on, so and it's a decades journey and not a year. In that scheme of things, one segment which the audience was referring to was petrol or fuel. And why is it that still a lot of cash flows into fuel? And I was also thinking of there are certain categories wherein you are possibly at least 99% certain that anyone who is walking to such outlet will have essentially a card in the pocket. Why not? And again, it's just throwing into the air. Why not government should mandate that all 5-star or 4-star hotels, all gold gyms, or all essentially category 1 type of institutions, which essentially are Zara or anyone else, or similarly maybe a petrol pump or maybe a liquor shop. Liquor shop is a big contributor to the exchequer and abhi to economy ki growth mein bhi contribute kar rahi hai, as we know. So ye sare pe why not make it mandatory to only accept via digital mediums and not to accept at all by any other medium, which is essentially cash. So is there any thought which has gone to it and we push to the government that maybe fuel or high-end retail or things like that or hotels and so on and so forth should only be essentially digital instruments?
No, so I think this has been a continuous discussion. Only thing is that we always try and balance and say that we have to balance the demand and supply. If you want, for an example, fuel category, you have to make sure that even a third time second-hand bought guy of that vehicle, which we made bought for 5,000 rupees, is able to have a digital option which he can use conveniently. He's not going to do KYC. I can give you a very simple example. He needs a very convenient way. He can't transfer money from his debit credit card, right? So we need to understand the issues and then have that kind of an ecosystem sustainable and creative. And then parallelly then mandate it. If you mandate, then anyway you'll hear back that it is not working. Where do we go? And these are masses. So again, when you look at number of cards will be less, anyway they are paying digitally, right? But the value will be large. So you have to get into these mass retail payments and see that what will work for them. And then how do you create an ecosystem? On the other categories, like you said, shopping, etc., you could do it, but I would say that either you say that above certain value, cash is not acceptable, or up to that value, even digital, you don't need to do any major, let's say, friction. Let's say even if you're a merchant, if you have to accept digital, I mean, as long as you have a bank account where it is getting settled, you don't need to do anything. Then a vegetable vendor can start accepting digital payment. Usko bhi wahi sara Ramayana Mahabharat karna padta hai abhi to even just accept digital. So all these things count that we have to do things hand in hand. So one side we have to give facility to these customers, similar convenience, at the same time bring a lot of more barriers on the cash, not just making this mandatory. So dono cheez saath mein karni padegi. Somewhere you have to balance, and then at some stage in 5-6 years, then you don't need to do anything, it's automatically digital. And this goes, by the way, even for a lot of other products. I mean, there are a lot of other products where a lot of simplification happens, even in a lending side, even in insurance tech side. I firmly believe that why don't we allow cross-sell of all insurance policy by all insurance players? The reality is in financial services, the most valuable player, which is banks, they are because of the cross-sell. They are able to sell every product. So why can't, let's say, stockbroker or insurance company is allowed to in same way seamlessly sell all other financial services products? So that's a key, because if you have to go to next 300 million customers, the economics does not work out unless you are able to sell everything. If you create that kind of an ecosystem, it has to take more products and services for it to become valuable. I think we are running out of time.
Yes, so we are done with the time. So Dolly, I'll answer your question very shortly, which is in a short manner, which is insurance companies essentially, are they doing anything to support startups and students to solve some real world problem? So insurance companies or any other player in the market, they do run hackathons and startup innovation camps and so on and so forth. You may want to check HDFC Life had done last year with IV Camp and so on and so forth. So there are certain programs which they run. Apollo Munich had done last year with Go Medici. We did something last year with Tata AIG and others. So these are programs which come on a calendar basis and are not available always. Thanks a lot, Naveen, for the conversation, and thanks a lot, Aarti, for arranging this. And it is always pleasure getting Naveen on board because of. So when Naveen started fintech, not many had an idea. So thanks a lot for helping Indians get on the journey of digital payments. I still remember my first brush with anything digital payment led was its cash way back in 2008. So thanks a lot, Naveen. Aarti, over to you.
Yes. Thank
Thanks,
you, Abhishan.
Always pleasure
Thank you,
talking.
Naveen. Thank you, Naveen, so much. It was really interesting session, and I think personally I've learned a lot.
Good.
So many doubts is being cleared, and we look forward for having you on other platforms also.
Thank you.
Thank you.